Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Matt and Matt O-Scale Train podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Matt Rochford.
And I'm your co-host, Matt Suzuha.
All right, folks. Well, so today is our very first episode, and we wanted to pick something that I think, could apply to everybody. I guess it's more of a Lionel thing than anything, but everyone likes to go through the loves to go through the catalog, actually. So we are going to go through the newest catalog, the 2020 version 2 catalog from Lionel. And we're just kind of give you our insights on everything. We're going to go page by page. And we're just kind of we might skip over some if it's just, if it's something small, but we're going to try to hit everything we can, talk about the engines, what we like, what we don't like, and hope you enjoy the podcast. Matt, did you want to say anything?
No, we're ready to take a look. Let's see what we have.
All right, let's get started. So, opening up the catalog, on page, I believe, 10, excuse me, and we have the Legacy S1s. So, I'll probably leave this to you, Matt. I'm not a Pennsylvania person at all. These things are fantastic. I mean, they look awesome, right?
Oh, yeah.
I remember MTH had one of these, and I remember there being a review on it. Eric's Trains did a review on it, and the thing was massive. It was huge. It just looks like a giant torpedo, right? But it's just, for me, it's just too big for my layout. But if I had room, I don't know. It might be one. Again, I'm not a Pennsylvania person, so it's probably not something that I would be interested in. But I think it looks pretty sharp.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like the Tuscan Red version. That one's really cool. Lionel's been going pretty good with their fantasy schemes lately, and this is just another fantastic iteration. It's great. But the prototype S1 was really just that, a prototype. It really wasn't terribly successful. I mean, it saw some track time, but it wasn't the most successful thing in the world for the Pennsy. But it's a really awesome engine. It's actually longer than the Big Boy. It's like the East Coast version of a Big Boy, basically. It's really, really cool. And as you see in the pictures, it's gigantic. It's really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and it does not have whistle steam because the prototype did not have a whistle.
Mm-hmm.
So it has safety valve steam. It does have a horn. From what I heard, Lionel was going through their catalog, and they did mention that it was going to actually have a horn, but he did say it was also going to have a whistle as well for people who just want to have a whistle. So because this is part of this new legacy sound system that they're putting out, where they're putting in multiple sounds, you can adjust the pitch of sounds with your legacy remote or with a Bluetooth app. So excuse me, looking forward to actually somebody getting these delivered and seeing them in action.
Me too. I mean, while it's too big for my layout, it'd be really cool to see someone have one and see what it's all about and see the features and all that. The safety smoke, that feature is really cool. That's on the Vision Line Niagara, and my uncle has one of those, and it's a fantastic feature. When you let it sit, the steam will blow out of the top. It's really, really cool.
That's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's move on to the matching. I wouldn't say matching, but I guess the passenger cars for this particular model. Again, I mean, these are your 21-inch passenger cars. They look pretty sharp. Especially, I actually like the Pullmans at the bottom, kind of the old classic style kind of passenger Pullman cars. Look pretty neat.
So we have the 4-pack, we have a 2-pack, and then in 1947 they expanded the train with Atlantic Coastline. So we have the Fleet of Mountaism paint scheme with Atlantic Coastline. So if you look closely at the catalog, you can see it says Atlantic Coastline instead of Pennsylvania. It's really pretty neat. And then we also have a Southwind Station Sounds Diner, which if you've never played with the Sounds Diners before, go out and get one. They are fantastic, especially the new Legacy ones. They're
Yep.
great. And then Matt was talking about the 2-packs, the Pullman 2-pack, and I'm thinking about going in for this. It's a beautiful set, and it's something kind of cool. I have the Trailblazer set, which is in the same general paint scheme. It's in the Fleet of Mountaism paint scheme, but it's the Trailblazer. So I'm thinking of probably getting these for the set, and then probably one of the baggage cars, because they have a baggage car and then a Fleet of Mountaism RPO car, which I believe is a semi-fictionalized scheme. It's kind of one of those foot in the door kind of things, but it's still really cool. So I'll probably do the Madisons. Ah, come on, heavyweights. Ugh.
Yeah. One thing about I knew you were talking about the Station Sounds card, the legacy ones, and one thing I noticed, I'm not sure how many people know this or if it's widely known, but did you know that if you have a legacy engine and you add the Sounds car to the train, if you add it, if you build it as a train, when you hold down the aux button, you put that engine kind of in a it'll do all the sounds on its own.
The sequence mode.
The sequence mode. Well, the sequence mode, if you have a Station Sounds car in the train that you build with your engine, the Station Sounds card will actually be part of the sequence mode. So what happens is if you hold down the button and then you activate the sequence mode and you turn the throttle, the engineer the engineer in the engine will say something, but you'll also get the now leaving messages and the all aboard from the passenger car.
No kidding. I don't.
Yes.
I don't have any of the legacy sound designers, but for the Trailblazer, I have the TMCC Sounds Diner, and I have the Legacy Vision Reefers, which are fantastic. But I don't know if they do that. I might have to try them. But
Yeah, try. I don't know if it does with the reefers, but try it. You never know, because it was just I did it on accident. I had my Burlington Northerns, and I have the Burlington Northern Station Sound card uh on there, and it was just like, wow, I'm like, these actually work together. I thought that was pretty cool. So
cool.
just something I quickly had brought up. All right, so let's move on to page 14. These are the Legacy 460s.
These are really cool. This is also a New York Central prototype. So some of the road names we have here are kind of a foot in the door, fictionalized kind of sort of thing. But they're all really cool. So we have the New York Central. I'll go bottom to top here, or top to bottom rather. Anyway, we got the New York Central. We have a Canadian Pacific Rail Tours, which this in the 80s the CP did excursions, and they're going to have a magnetic nameplate for the tender to cover up the Canadian Pacific. They're going to have a different nameplate, which that'll be pretty cool. Then we have a Boston and Maine, and then on the right page we have a Texas and Pacific, which is really cool looking. I really like that one a whole lot. Then we have Southern. We have Sioux Line, which is a road name you don't really hear much of. And then the two on top here, these are going to be really popular. We got the Rutland, and then we have the Reading and Northern 225, which I
That
believe
blue
that
one
one's
is
still preserved.
sweet. That blue one is fantastic looking.
Oh, yeah. And these will have whistle smoke for the first time. Be nice if they put swing bell in there too, but what can we do? It's awesome
Yep.
engine.
Yeah, yeah. Again, on these, none of them that really kind of fit my railroad as far as names go, railroads go. But if I were to pick one, that Reading and Northern would be definitely first on my list.
Oh, yeah. That blue is really cool.
It is. Really pops on that engine.
hmm I think if I was to pick one, I'd do either the Reading and Northern or the Texas and Pacific.
Okay.
The green boiler is really cool. And
Can't, you,
Southern, I'm not the biggest fan of Southern, but I like the T and P better.
Yep. I don't blame you. I have a Great Northern green steamer and a legacy steamer, and I love it. So
Cool.
all right. So next page, the USRA 2882s. These are some pretty big engines too here. So.
Oh yeah, these are a no fucking Western prototype.
These are 070. These are big curves too. As much as I would love to have one of these, Little too big for me, but man, the lighted doghouse on a tender here, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really pretty neat. And Lionel's done that before. I think when they did the Y3 the first time, they had the doghouse light. It's really a pretty neat feature that you don't really see very much because it's really kind of only on NW Steam. I can't really think of any other railroad off the top of my head that had the doghouse on the tender.
I can't either offhand. I can't. I'm not 100% sure
And
that I
no,
can remember if any of them had that
I'm
besides
sorry.
this one.
The Pennsylvania had a few engines with the doghouse on the tender. They had the J1A Texas, and I think the M1A and B, I think, had the doghouse on there. Maybe a couple others that I'm forgetting.
Gotcha.
What else is really cool about these is they're going to do different tenders. So for the Norfolk and Western 2020 and the Baltimore and Ohio, at least on page 17, they're going to have those style tenders. And also for you weathered fans, they have the 2021, which is on page 16. That's going to be weathered by Harry Heike. So that's pretty cool. And then if we
That's
flip the page, we have some more. We have some more with the USRA. It's kind of similar to the Malay style tender. With the on the Rio Grande they have the doghouse, but on the Clinchfield and the Northern Pacific, which is absolutely gorgeous, they don't. And then we also have the Virginian, the Union Pacific, and the Pennsylvania. And the Pennsy does have the doghouse. And I believe Pennsy leased, I believe, 3 of these from the NNW, so they're really similar in appearance to the NNW versions that we saw previously.
very cool looking. All right, let's move on to the 282s.
Good stuff.
Yeah, this is definitely in my my radius. Let's put it that
Oh,
way.
yeah, mine too.
Although I don't, unfortunately, I don't see a road name that would kind of not that I have to like the road name has to be for my layout. I'm just I'm a huge Santa Fe guy, BNSF, Burlington, and I don't see any. Unfortunately, that would you know that I would be interested in, right? So
Sure. I like the ACL. That one's really cool.
yeah.
And then I know there's 2 fan favorites here that are going to be really cool, which is the Great Northern, the Grand Trunk Western 4070 and the Southern 4501. Which the 4501 it's been made in several iterations over the past 20 years. The most accurate one to date is the 1990 run that Lionel did, and that was made from the blueprints of the 4501, so it doesn't get much more accurate than that.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. I think my biggest gripe about these is the cost. I mean, for $1,300, I think it's a little high. I think if it was maybe 975 or 1,000 retail, I would be more apt to get one. But for $1,300, it's a little expensive for what you get.
I would agree. Keep in mind too that this is that's MSRP too. So if you go through a good dealer, if you have a good dealer, you could probably, get a couple $100 off of that. And if you pre-order it, which obviously these are all build to order, you kind of have to for most of them anyway. Um, yeah, you're probably still looking at what, like 1100, 1150 maybe.
Something like that. I want to
So
say pre-order
yeah,
on these is maybe, yeah, I think 11, 10, 10.99, something like that.
1090. Okay. Okay. But you're right. You're right. If these were, they do have whistle steam. That is the only kind of there's no bell and there's no cylinder smoke, steam or anything like that. But still, pretty cool.
It's cool. And you know what? I like that Lionel's really putting whistle steam in pretty much every engine. It's kind of like a standard feature, which I think is really cool.
I think that's. I think they kind of noticed that that's a big feature that people want, and it sets them as being very unique in the O scale industry, because MTH had started to do it on some other big, larger models, not on everything, but some other. I know the big boy had it, and a couple other ones had it. But Lionel's been doing it for quite a long time, since I think since
2009 Vision
Legacy.
Line.
Yeah, yeah, since Legacy has been out, um, they've been doing it. So yeah, I love all the, Matt. I love all these little steam effects, no matter, or in the bell,
Oh
little stuff
yeah,
like that that really kind of just add so much realism to it. I have my little Great Northern is a whistle steam, and it's such a really neat effect.
oh yeah. I got the Legacy Long Island H10, and let me tell you, that engine for what it costs and what you get the swing bell and the smoking whistle. It's like, come on, and it was like $700. I
Yep.
mean, it's like, come on. But no, I really like that. I think my favorite feature, smoke feature, I think is the cylinder steam. That one's really cool, and I'm really curious to see how they're going to do it with the Daylight, the GS series, because they're going to have it where it's basically like a piston in the cylinder, like a real steam engine. So I'm curious to see how that's going to work. But we're going to find out. I think December. I think they're showing up, so that'll be cool to see.
All right. All right. Well, it looks like we're moving into diesels.
Yeah, it looks to be
So,
that way.
yep. Probably, I love steam engines, but man, I love me some diesel engines. So,
Hmm.
all right. E7s.
First one out of the gates, already a killer for me. I love cab units.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Yep. AA and AB sets. So we have Atlantic Coastline with the AA, and then there's a Super Base B unit for that one. And then the which is really cool, the Union Pacific is the city of Los Angeles, but it comes as an AB with an additional Super Base B unit, which I think is a pretty cool unique way of doing that. So because I believe that's how they were made. So
Yeah, the UP and the SP they did with the AB, which I'm not really sure why, but that's what they did. And the city of LA is absolutely beautiful. MTH made this a number of years back. However, they did it as an ABA, which is obviously unprototypical because they only had ABB. But it's still a beautiful set. And what's really cool is that nowadays the double units they're all powered, which is cool. So the front unit has the sound system in it, but both units do actually have motors in them, which is pretty cool. And these Super Bass B units are fantastic. I don't own one, but I've seen a few, and they are great. The sound system is it's like a Bose speaker on wheels.
it
It's
is.
awesome.
Yep, it is. I have a Super Base Santa Fe B unit for the Legacy F3s that came out a couple years ago, and I love the Super Base B unit. So yeah, big fan. I almost, if there's one available, if there's a Super Base B unit for an engine that I purchase, I pretty much will automatically always just get the matching Super Base B unit with it. So
Cool. I've thought about doing one of the any road name Super Bass B. Is I have two. I have an F3 and an F7. I have the CB&Q California Zephyr F3, which is absolutely gorgeous. Then I also have a Lightning Stripe New York Central, which is an older run from 2007. And I would love to get a Super Bass B in any name and swap shells so that would have the Super Bass feature.
gotcha,
So
gotcha.
maybe I'll do that.
Well, speaking of your neck of the woods,
Oh, yeah.
got a Pennsylvania here, and we got a New York with the lightning stripe, and then we have a black model, and then we have the I believe that would be the gray model. Is that pretty much?
The gray model, that they call that
Yeah.
the reverse lightning stripe.
The reverse lightning stripe. That's right. Okay.
Hmm. So we'll start on the top and work our way down. So for the Pennsylvania, I believe it's the second unit, which is the rear unit. So 5901, that one is preserved at Strasburg, the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania. So that's pretty cool. And this is a gorgeous set. You know, if I could have the coin, I would do it. And at first glance, it may look weird, but we actually have two different Super Base B units. So the top one, which is the one that everybody's going to say, "What's this about?" Well, this is made for the E8s that they did a number of years back because the Pensy never had any E8Bs. They used E7Bs instead. So that's what this is about. And then the bottom one is just your traditional five stripe for the E7s that we see on the page. So cool stuff.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Then, of course, we got the New York Central. The black stripe, I don't think they've done this one before. My grandpa, he has the older TMCC model. It's got these silver grills on it, so I don't think they've done an all black one.
I
So
think you're
this is
right.
really cool.
I think you're right. I don't think I've ever seen an all black one before.
Mm-mm. And I
That
know,
is that's really neat.
oh yeah, and they're also doing the number boards in the correct configuration. On the older one, it was like the Pensy that you see on top, where the number board was on the front of the nose. Well, on the New York Centrals, it's on the side of the nose, which is, I guess, prototypical.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's a cool little.
And then the gray, the reverse lightning stripe, whatever you want to call it. These actually were, they used these paint scheme for a little while, and they ultimately decided to not use it, and they went to the black, which is still pretty cool. So if you want either one or both, got your choice.
Yep. All right, and now we have some New York Central matching passenger cars.
Oh yeah.
So
So for the Southwestern Limited, this was one of those trains. It was a New York to, let's see, New York to St. Louis, I believe. Yep, St. Louis. So this set's really pretty cool. It was one of those. It wasn't, the near to Chicago, near to Miami, any one of those. So it was kind of a mismatch of train. So for the 4 pack, we have a combine and 3 coaches. No, I'm sorry, combine, 2 coaches, and a 10-6 sleeper. And then for the 2 pack, we have a coach, I believe, a diner. And then for the Station Sounds card, this looks a little funky because, again, it was a mismatch of train. So we have a silver card that's been, all these cards have been de-skirted, by the way, so you can see all the nice air vents and undercarriage detail on them, which is pretty cool. And then we have a return of the Vision Line baggage car, which I've seen this too. It's really pretty neat. Now, note that this is the same baggage car that they did with the Niagara's number of years ago. So it's not
mhm.
a same. It's not a different number. It's the same car number, same item number, same everything. They just must have had some excess stock. So, but it's a
Okay,
really pretty cool set.
I've heard it. I've someone on YouTube actually had it, and I was listening to it. It actually sounded really neat.
Yeah, there's a guy on YouTube, DJ's O Gauge Trains. He's got this car. It's really cool. Actually, the cars I like the most out of the bunch are these baggage cars, the 60-foot baggage cars up on top, the
Yep.
Pullman Green and the Lightning Stripe. Those are pretty cool. That Pullman Green's really cool looking.
I have a Union Pacific 60-foot baggage car, and I think it's really neat looking. Yeah, it's the same. Looks exactly like that, except it's got the Union Pacific on it, and those are neat looking.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, I think they're old. I think they're ex Weaver tooling. I'm pretty
Oh, I
sure.
didn't know that. Okay. All right. So I'll move on to, we're on page 30. So we're looking at the E7s. Got a beautiful Rock Island
Oh
on the
yeah,
top.
that's
Oh man,
gorgeous.
if I were to pick any one of these, and Rock Island is pretty much you know, in my area. That's Rock Island is kind of Midwestern, so
Mhm.
that would be um That would be the one that I would get. That the colors are fantastic looking.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. MTH, they made a E8, which is obviously a different model, but similar paint scheme. The stripe on it actually went all the way down the engine, like where the clear glass is. That stripe went all the way down the engine, but this kind of lopped off stripe, it looks gorgeous. Like I
Yep.
said, if I could afford it, I would do it. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Underneath that, it's got a southern, two southerns. So different, just color. You have the one with the golden state, and then you have the Southern Pacific Lark at the bottom there, and then all of those, the Rock Island, the Southern Pacifics, all have a matching super base B unit.
Yeah, and like we were talking about with the super base B units before, it's the same thing. Fantastic stuff.
All right. So, and next 32, here are the matching passenger cars
Hmm.
for, I believe, all three of those.
Nope, just two.
No, it's you. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
I thought the Rock Island actually pulled these cars too.
yeah, they did. So what you really could
Okay,
do if you had the coin is buy both E units and get all the cars.
okay.
Which I mean, that'd be quite a bill, but it would be quite a sight.
Let's move on to probably my favorite part of the catalog. And we got some legacy gen set switchers here. Uh, these are so awesome, and I will be getting. So we'll just kind of go over really fast. So they have a BNFS, the BNSF. They have a Bethlehem. They have a CSX. They're coming out with the Norfolk Southern, a very unique Pennsylvania. And then they're going to have a Union Pacific, and then they're going to have a graffiti Union Pacific. I'll let you know right now. I plan on getting the BNSF 100%. That was one of the things that was on my list that I decided that I was going to get out of this catalog, and these look fantastic. Now, these are a bit different from their predecessors. These have moved away from the die-cast body and shell, and they are now plastic. However, to offset that, they now have dual motors in them. And we don't know for sure about the details as to if so. Just as an example, I have the older Santa Fe genset switcher. Obviously fantasy paint scheme because it's the war bonnet scheme. And it was die cast, and the cab is like just fully detailed. So I don't know. I really hope that the cabin here is detailed, because that was one of the really cool things that I thought was really unique about. You could take you take the cab, the top of the cab off, and you could see all the little the dashboard was lighted up. It was really really cool looking.
From what I gather, I guess they're going to have some kind of detail in the cab. It's not going to be as fully detailed because of the motor, but I guess they're going to have some kind of detail in there, which will be cool. Now, my uncle, he had the Vision line Norfolk Southern genset, and a friend of mine, he wanted it, and so he eventually sold it to him. So he doesn't have that engine anymore, so I can't play with it. But that one had the three smokestacks on it, which they actually went up and down depending on the RPMs on the engine, and actually had three separate smoke units in it. So sometimes only one will be on, or sometimes two, or all three. And when you started the engine up, it wasn't always the same one that flew open. Sometimes it would be the first, second, or third one. It just depends on what you do. So
Right, which is prototypical as well,
yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
yeah, because if there's only one engine that needs to be used, why bother with three if you don't need it?
Yep.
And I think another thing that they're going to have on here, which this has been on here anyway, is the sleep mode feature. So when you keep the engine in idle and you let it sit, it'll actually shut off. and you can hit the aux 1 key and it'll fire back up, or any command to fire it back up. It's really cool.
Yep, my Santa Fe does that as well. It will. I don't remember the exact time. I think it's around the 2 minute mark, maybe. It will just shut down. I don't remember if it beeps or not. Some of them beep. They have this a beep like every 30 seconds. I don't remember if that one has it or not, but yeah, it's a really really cool effect.
Hmm. The
Little things like that.
Oh yeah, the Vision line. I believe I timed it once. I think it was like 30 seconds off or 30 seconds on, and then shut down for 5 minutes, and then it beeped and fired back up, which is pretty cool. They did this feature on the ES44s, the both the Vision and the non-Vision, and they also did it on the latest round. No, not the latest
Yep.
round. The first round of Bluetooth SD70
Yes,
ACs.
they did. Yep, you are
So
correct.
yeah,
Yep.
that's really cool stuff. So as far as me goes, I'm in for the graffiti. I'm probably order that next week, and then if I had the money, which I'm gonna wait to see this graffiti, and then I might do the Pennsylvania because I'm a Pensy nut. So it
Good,
goes
good
along with the
choices.
territory.
Good choice. I would. I'm only gonna order one, but for budget reasons. But man, I really like that graffiti UP as well. That's really neat looking. So
I hope it does well because they got a lot of graffiti rolling stock that they've been putting out the past couple years, and it's
yep,
nice to finally have an engine to go along with them. So it's really cool. I kind of wish they did two numbers though.
I agree. Yep. All right. So let's just move on. Let's move into the legacy GP7s. Always a favorite GP7s. So you can't go wrong, right?
Nuh-uh. No,
So
these are very nice workhorses for any railroad. I had a Pennsylvania one at one point, but I don't have it anymore.
all right. So we have a um, Santa Fe. We got a Main Central. There's a Cotton Belt route on top. That St. Louis. That one's really. That's really. Those colors are pretty cool looking.
It's actually prototypical.
Yeah.
They had two of them. Well, they had one GP7. The first number was 304, and then it got renumbered to 320. So both numbers technically are prototypical for a time, which is pretty cool. So I guess if you want both and lash them up, you can do that if you want. But
Yeah. Yeah. Like good, nice colors on that Cotton Belt. Those are awesome. And then got a Northern Pacific, which if I were to pick one, I might actually be. So I'm interested in the Santa Fe or the Northern Pacific. I'm not sure which one I would get. I don't have too many Northern Pacific engines, so that's why and I have probably I have a lot of Santa Fe. So so maybe I should just kind of like diversify myself a little bit and get that Northern Pacific. There's a Seaboard, a Texas and Pacific, which has some really cool looking colors as well.
yeah, it's pretty cool. The Northern Pacific, I like it, but it seems kind of plain. All these other engines, they have stripes or a road name going on it or something. It just kind of looks plain on the long hood with nothing on it.
It is you are right about that. That was one of the things that kind of had me kind of like, well, it's I don't have it on the Pacific, but it is I agree. It is kind of um you know plain looking, I guess is the best way to put it.
Hmm.
So
I have the Vision Line Santa Fe reefers, and this Santa Fe, I saw when I saw the catalog, I saw it day before or so, and the first thing that popped into my mind when I saw the Santa Fe was my reefers. So I'm thinking, we'll see.
can't go wrong with Santa Fe.
Oh
That's
no,
my motto. That's my motto.
I agree.
All right. So moving on. Hey, Shark
There's your Santa
Nose.
Fe.
Yeah, they're very, very, very fantasy Santa Fe. I am thinking about it. I'm not 100% on that shark. Honestly, I think that war bonnet paint looks awesome on the shark nose because I actually I like the shark nose engines. I think they look really. I don't know, it's got that bulldog kind of tough looking, shark
Yeah,
looking nose, and I actually think they look really cool. Um, so I got an starting from the top. Um, there's a Chicago cotton. Is that another? Oh, it's the Eastern Joliet.
yeah.
Oh, yes,
Eastern
yes,
Julia.
yes. Yeah, Eastern Joliet. Sorry, I had time looking at it. So with my glasses here, it's kind of interesting that because there's a so I live in the western suburbs of Chicago, and on my way out west, I take a road called Butterfield Road. I get on that because I have some family out west, and I pass over this bridge. It's like a really small single railroad bridge, and it's you can tell it's really old. And up top, it has the uh, um, EJ and E label on it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Five Stripe, Pennsylvania. So the Pennsylvania, I don't think they have shark nose that was painted like this. They had a longer shark nose style engine, the BP-20, which Weaver actually did an all brass model of, and that was their their main passenger hauling locomotive that they used. So it was maybe like a shark nose and a half as far as length goes. So if you want to visualize that, but it's a really pretty cool looking engine. Although, like I said, it's a little shorter than the BP-20. It would be a nice stand-in. Still pretty cool. And then that single stripe Brunswick green, that one's pretty cool. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of the single stripes on the green.
Moving on, we have something that's obviously related here. Is this really cool New York Central Explorer set? Um, wow, those colors are. I like yellow and blue. I think that's a fantastic for me at least. I think that's a really cool combination.
Sure, it's really cool. So the prototype Explorer was actually a kind of a prototype train that never really took off. So it was a lightweight train. So the set that Lionel's showing here is kind of like a what if the Explorer would have continued, what would it look like? And so it was a similar Baldwin style Sharknose style diesel, and it had lighter weight passenger cars than these Union Pacific prototypes, but it's still a beautiful set. And if I had the room, I would do it. It's really cool looking. Plus, it's
Yeah,
small.
it is, and um, it's the price. It actually isn't all that bad. So,
I agree.
for the entire set, which is so for $8.99, you get a single uh shark nose diesel unit, um, but you get three 21-inch passenger cars. So, and in today's pricing and everything, and again, if you pre-order it and you go through like your local train shop, you could definitely probably get this thing for like 750, maybe even $700, depending on your local hobby shop.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Although I kind of wish in the two pack they would have done a sounds, well, in this case, sounds coach, but it would still be kind of cool if they would have had a sound car in here. But it's
I
still a
agree.
nice set.
I don't know exactly why. Like a set like this to me like begs for a station sounds car, right? Because it's unique, but maybe they didn't want to have to like create that um the unique sound set for it,
That could
But I
be.
guess I don't know, they could have just did the New York Central sound set, I guess. I don't know. A beautiful set. Um all right. So moving on, we got some which I think are fantastic products that Lionel's putting out are these freight sets.
Oh yeah.
Um, I have the BNSF tanker set from uh, last year, and I love it. I love sets. I really do. I think there's a lot of value in here. And it's kind of like what's nice about it is, if it's your favorite, if you have a particular road name that you like, railroad that you like, you can get an engine and you can get all the matching um you know cars, rolling stock behind it. Um, and then that's what we want to do, right? When we're pulling stuff on our railroad at home, on our model, on our layout, we're I'm pulling a BNSF. I got a BNSF diesel, and I want to pull some, Santa Fe or Burlington Northern, or I want to pull, those kind of cars that match the engine, right? Because you want to try to be prototypical as much as you can. So, but yeah, these are both really cool sets.
Sure, and I like this PL&E set. I mean, it's kind of local to my area, but it's just a really cool looking set. So, like as Matt was talking about with the price point, I mean, 850 retail for a legacy scale engine and three scale cars and a caboose. How can you say no? I mean, it's a fantastic set. So to lead the set, we have the aforementioned GP7, which is a great engine. And then we have a PS5 covered gondola, and I actually have one of these in the New York Central paint scheme, and it's a great car. I really think, as a quick little side note, all of Lionel's cars they make are fantastic. I don't have one that I dislike. All the ones I have are great. And then we have a box car, and then we have probably my favorite car in the set, which I have one of these. It is a tank. It is this 100-ton hopper, and we'll talk more about these in a few minutes. And then we also have a PL&E bay window caboose, which is really pretty cool.
Yep, and then as we move down, same thing. Got a Southern um, GP7. It comes with a box car. It comes with a PS2 hopper. It comes with a gondola with covers. Gondola is really cool looking,
Oh
and
yeah.
a Southern Bay windowed caboose. So these are great. I think it's just a lot of value here, right?
Oh yeah. And for
Yeah.
the Southern, I know people are complaining that it's a 1950s engine with 1970s cars, but you know what? Who really cares?
That's
I got
fine.
your I know you got your rivet counters, but after a while, it's still just a cool looking set. The paint scheme on that diesel is great.
Are those called decade counters?
There you go.
All right.
Yeah,
Did we just coin a new phrase?
yeah, it's technically not a rivet counter because they're not counting the model. They're worrying about yeah, I like decade counter. That's cool.
Uh, all right. Moving on to the next page, we got some Penn Central passenger cars. Um, uh, we got some Pullman sleeper cars underneath that. Um, just cool, some pretty cool looking um, things to add on to your current passenger trains, right?
Oh yeah, pretty cool stuff. The B60 baggage cars, like we talked about, they're great cars, and I kind of like the Tuscan Red Penn Central. And then we also have a really cool one, which is actually a Christmas one, which I didn't realize this. It's not the Railway Express agency; it's the Reindeer Express, which is directly below the Tuscan Red Penn Central. So that's kind of a little Christmas throw in there for your Christmas fans. And then below we have the Pullman sleeper cars, use the pool service sleepers. So first off, they started with the green, and I believe one of the cars in the green is a excursion car, which is kind of cool. I forget. Let's see here if I can get it. It's too hard to tell from the catalog image, but one of these is an excursion car. I'm sure one of us people that watch this can let us know which one it is. And then they started off in the green, and then they moved to what we would call the lightning stripe for us New York Central guys in the Pullman lettering name, which is really cool. So if you want some pool service cars, there you go.
Nice.
Mm. So next up, we got the theater cars, and you want to hit those real quick?
Yeah. These are. I will be getting one of these, maybe two of these. Not sure.
Let me guess, the two silvers on the bottom.
So yeah, that would be correct. Yes, I will be getting the Santa Fe. Well, so uh, so I have a large Santa Fe passenger car. I have a lot of Santa Fe passenger cars, and I have a couple observation cars for the end. But I don't have an end car for my Burlington North Coast Limited. So that's where the BNSF William Strong uh, uh, theater car comes into play. If you don't know, William Strong was he was the president of ATSF in the late 1880s. So that's what the name is there for. So, but yeah, I like that the Santa Fe has track inspection car on it. It's kind of a really cool little detail on there. But I mean, you know, these are $330 passenger cars,
Yeah, they're not
so
cheap.
I'd rather not get two, just because it's like, I'm sure these will be like the other one. I think the theater cars now go for around. You can still find them too. I think they're like 240 or 250 or something like that.
Yeah.
From dealers. And that's probably more in lines of what I would pay. But yeah, that being SF1 is absolutely on my list. And then we'll see about the Santa Fe. So, how about you?
I can't run these theater cars. I don't have the curves for them. But
Okay.
if I was to do one, well, a couple of notes here. I'll talk about which one I would do first. I would probably do the Norfolk Southern because I'm a Norfolk Southern Pennsy fan. So, like I said before, but I really think what's going to be interesting. I really hope that the teaser of the KCS and the BNSF. I really think we're going to see the business trains come soon. We've already seen the NS, so I'm thinking the KCS and the BNSF are right around the corner. Plus, we also saw the GS4 in the previous catalog. So it's like, I'm really thinking we're going to see it.
Oh yeah, the only MTH was the only one that actually did the BNSF cars that if I remember right.
Yeah.
And they did them in the premiere. I had a chance to buy them. I passed them up a couple times. Now I probably wish I would have got them, but that's all right. If Lionel's coming out with their rendition, because I'm really thinking about those new that BNSF GS4. It's a little expensive. I'm gonna have to do some selling, I think. I'm gonna have to do some eBaying maybe.
Oh, so
Uh,
same
we'll
with me.
we'll
That's
s-
what I'm doing.
we'll see because I think aren't they due out like
I think December.
soon? December. Okay. Okay.
December, I
Yeah.
from what I hear, they're going to make the year. So,
Okay.
but,
Man.
MTH is the only one to make that GS4. I don't think Williams or, yeah,
No.
Williams is the only other
Nope.
manufacturer that would make the GS4.
Nope.
So it's really cool. And I mean, it's one of those engines that, they made it back in, I think, 2002, 2003. And it was a dealer appreciation set. So it's incredibly
Yep.
rare. And my uncle, he actually had the the 5 pack and the 2 car add on for that set to run with a Santa Fe Texas, which is pretty cool. But he since sold those cars. But it's a nice set.
I actually had the Imperial version
Mm,
of the GS4, and now I wish I would have kept it. I ended up selling it. But the sound set on it was really cool, and it had some. It sounded really good too. And it had the horn too, had the whistle and the horn. They did a great job even for an Imperial. Um, it was a great little steamer. Um,
sure.
just to kind of go back on these 21-inch passenger cars. Um, for those who I know these are big. These are obviously large passenger cars. I have 048 curves, and they will negotiate 048. That is the absolute minimum that I would put them on. I haven't had a problem. Sometimes I have issues going in reverse. But I've heard people on 054 and even on like 060 have issues with them going in reverse and coming off the track. I think it's the way that the kinematic coupler works.
Yeah, that could
Um,
be.
but yeah, I can. I haven't had any issues. Uh, running them around. They're, people kind of, I know there's the like, well, they swing out so high, and but you know what, they look so good, and my Burlington Northerns that I have are all 21-inch passenger cars, and they look really sweet, um and they're just, I was at a point where I'm like, I had a trial. I was like, well, are these going to run or not? And I ended up buying the Station Sounds car as a test. And I was like, all right, well, if it doesn't work, I'll just save this car for when I get a bigger radius. And if it does work, then okay, well, maybe I'll buy a couple more. And that was my initial test. Now, again, not saying this works on everyone's 048. I mean, you might, depending on like how much they don't swing out that bad. But I don't know, like a lot of people, you know, like my two loops aren't that close to each other, so I can get away with the how far they kind of like stick out. But I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, like for the 21-inch cars, I've thought about maybe trying one because eventually I'm gonna get 044.5-inch curves, which is a kind of it's 048 ish. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
it's close to 048 on a 4x8 as best you can get. So I've thought about maybe trying one. My uncle has a bunch, so I may grab one of his and see if it works. But then I'll consider going in for a set. But 21-inch passenger cars, they're technically a scale car.
yeah,
The 18-inch cars, they're technically semi-scale, which
that
you know, can you do?
you are correct. Yep, you are correct. I wish Lionel would make. Um, I loved MTH's 18-inch passenger cars because they could, you could run them around your 036 curves, as far as I know.
Oh yeah, I got
Um,
I
because they
got
were
some.
040, yeah, they were minimum 042, but they would actually meet because of the way MTH did their curves. They would actually negotiate 036 without any problems. So,
Hmm.
all right. No, I guess we digressed enough there. Sorry about that. All right, let's move on to these PS5 covered gondolas.
These are really cool, and kind of hit these up little bit ago. But I have the Near Central a PS5, and it's great. The detail on it is awesome. The ends actually remove, which is pretty cool, and the tops come off, which is nice. So it's a really all around a great car, and they even got two BN numbers for you.
They do. I noticed that. I will definitely be picking these up. One of these up from my, if not both, from my local shop. So these are really really cool looking.
The one I like the most, I like the Union Pacific because at least in the catalog, they have two different colors of hatch. They have the gold color, which has a slogan on it, and then they have just a regular silver color, which is pretty cool. So I'm thinking about maybe I might do both.
I like that one with the slogan. I think that's very cool looking.
I agree.
Kind of sticks out, right?
Yeah, it's something
Right.
different.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So on page 53, so roof hatch, just your roof hatch box cars here.
These are actually
Um,
new tooling for the
are
roof
they new
hatches.
tooling? Okay.
Yep. It's the PS1 boxcar design, but it's got the roof hatches on there. And for each railroad, they did a different purpose. I believe for the Southern, it hauled kale and grain for beer, I think, or maybe it was the CNW. I forget. But at any rate, the hatches are on there. They don't open, but they are really cool looking.
Okay.
I don't think I'm gonna get any, but they are nice
Uh,
cars.
they are nice cars. I don't plan on getting any, but I agree. They are really nice. All right. So next page, 100-ton
Another
hoppers.
killer for me.
So I like these
These are great.
a lot. So I have an MTH pack of these from, I think they're around 10, 15 years old. But MTH sold these as a 6 pack. So I have 6 Burlington Northern um 100-ton hoppers, and I I like coal hoppers a lot. So
No, yeah, me too. I have the Pennsylvania Heritage hopper that goes with the SD70, and
oh wow,
it's
that's
a it's a tank. You know, the thing must weigh 10 pounds. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, like the Pennsylvania, which again I'm a Pensy nut, but that Pennsylvania is actually a add-on to a Coltrane set that they made, I believe, back in I think 2006, 2005, 6, something like that. So if you wanted to get all 6 numbers, which I'll probably go in for eventually, not now, but I'll get all 6 of these, and then if you got the Cole set and the add-ons, I believe it's 14 cars total. So I mean, it would be a train. I mean, your 6-unit lash ups would definitely be worked, but it
yeah,
would be quite a train.
yes indeed.
Hmm. And then we also have 6 different numbers for the PL and E. So if you want to get the set, you can get a 7th number, which is cool.
That's cool. I'm glad they offer like multiple packs and all with different road numbers. I think that's a really cool detail that they added in there.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And like, I'm really curious for the rotary gondolas, the bathtub hoppers that they did in the Norfolk Southern Conrail paint schemes. Those, I guess, are coming out. They were I think they're being made in Romania. No,
Hmm,
they were tried to be made in Romania, but they lost the tooling or something happened with the tooling, so they're now finally being remade. So those would be really cool, and I'm thinking about going in for some of those because that's one train that I've wanted since I started railroading was a gondola set for NS. I want Top Guns, but nobody's made them yet, so
gotcha.
hopefully one day.
Alrighty. Moving on to page 55, we have the PS2 hoppers. Um, I don't have much to say here. PS2 hoppers are cool. Not really something I won't be picking up any of these. But they're cool. That Central Soya one looks pretty cool. It's
Yeah, it
featured there.
does. And it's fun. It's kind of funny. It says CSX is the reporting marks. I don't think it's the same CSX that you and I think of when we see CSX.
No, definitely not.
No, it's. I just noticed that now. It's really pretty cool. Best for me, Pensy all the way. And you
Yeah.
know what? It's kind of surprising. They only got one number. I thought they had two, but it's only one.
Yep.
So I'm definitely going in for that.
All right. Next page 56, we have the bay window cabooses. um, I I like that. Excuse me. I like that Southern Pacific Railroad Police caboose in the bottom right hand
Yeah,
corner.
that one's really cool.
That's cool. That's really cool looking.
It's good stuff. Uh, if you're an East Coast guy, which ripped me, um, we got a bunch of road names here. So we
Yeah.
have Chessie, which my dad, he's a huge Chessie fan, so I'm sure he's going to be all over that. And with another one of the safety slogans. So if you collect the safety slogan cars, well, here's another one for you. We have this Conrail one, which I think there's something special about this. New England Division. Looks like a safety one. So that's pretty cool. We got Frisco for, I guess, your Midwest people, Matt. uh,
Yeah.
Louisville and Nashville, and then New York Central, which this is kind of interesting. It's in the safety scheme. And in the previous catalog, they did the wood-sided cabooses with the cameras in them. And they did a safety scheme wood-sided caboose in this same paint scheme with the camera. So I'm thinking of maybe doing this car and then skip the wood-sided safety. So that way, I mean, it doesn't have a camera in it, but
Right.
that way it would be two different style cabooses. I don't have a bay window caboose, so
Yeah.
but it's pretty cool. And then we have the aforementioned Southern Pacific Railroad Police, which is
Yeah.
really
That was
cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. I mean, I'm not gonna. I don't have any plans to get that, but I thought it was kind of cool with the symbol. Excuse me, symbol on the side, and it's just very unique looking.
Oh yeah, really cool stuff.
All right, moving on to the next page, we got some flat cars with stakes. So There's a Santa Fe in there,
Yeah,
and
Santa.
a Northern Pacific.
Oh,
So
oh boy.
they hooked me up.
Santa Fe from Northern Pacific for you, Penske and NNW for me.
I, I can tell you that I do not own any flat cars with stakes. So this would be something new for me as for a roll as rolling stock goes. So
Yeah, I have flat cars, but not with stakes on them. So
yeah,
I
neither
mean,
do I. Yep.
it's pretty cool. This Penske MOW is really cool.
All right. And then we have some RBLs.
Hmm.
Um, got a Canadian National, got an ADM. There's your Pennsylvania,
Yep.
and then we got an FG
Oh,
Fruit Growers Express.
Penn Central, yippee!
So, yep.
Woo, add more to my list. But what's really cool about the stakes, the stake cars, the flat cars with the stakes, these RBLs, and the next car, which is the N5 NE5 caboose, they're all standard O cars. So they're technically scale cars. Well, actually, technically, they are scale cars, but they don't have all the same detail that we're accustomed to on our scale rolling stock that costs $90 a piece. So
Yeah,
they're a lot more affordably priced. With a retail of
they are.
50, I think the
Yep.
pre-order on these is like $35.
Oh
So
wow.
it's really a great price.
And
So I'm
if
thinking,
you could get three of them, if you could get three of them for just a bit over $100, that's some pretty good value.
yeah, I definitely agree. And what these kind of remind me of the MTH Premier Line reefers from like the 90s. Like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with those, but they kind of remind me of those.
Okay.
And then we have the NE5 cabooses, which I believe it's scale car, but it's not as high a detail as like a typical caboose, like the bay windows that we saw a minute ago. But
Well,
they're still nice cars.
it sounds like these are the same kind of templating as the RBLs, right? Where they're just kind of offering a scale car, limited details, and then putting it into a cheaper price bracket, maybe.
From what I gather, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
an
yeah,
LED
they're all cool.
interior. So, which
Yeah,
is
they're all cool looking. Yeah, nothing there for me, but yeah, they're really cool looking. All right, so moving into the traditional O gauge Line Chief Plus 2.0 kind of engines and rolling stock. First stop here is the Lion Master AC12 cab forward. So, um, as someone who has the last Lion Master plus 2.0 big boy, I have to say I'm really excited about these because I just finished my review and I posted my Line Master plus big boy review, and I Lionel did a fantastic job with this Lion Chief plus 2.0, and I hope they continue it. I haven't seen any diesels yet, so I can't comment on the diesels with the Lion Chief plus 2.0. But I will say, as far as I know, the Steam, they did a fantastic job on the big boys. So
that's
I
cool.
now to kind of go on this cab forwards. I'm not a cab forward person, so I don't have any interest in these, but I do think they look cool.
I think they're cool. If I was to do one, I'd do 4294 just because it's preserved in Sacramento. I think is where the River Museum is. But it's cool stuff. The daylight one's really nice too.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Actually, so is that gray boiler one. That one's nice.
I think if you twisted my arm and said, "Well, you get to pick one of these," I would probably just pick the Southern Daylight scheme, just because I really like that scheme a lot. So.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, moving page 65, we got the Line Sheet Plus 2.0 GP7s. So,
These are cool. I believe they're either based or they maybe still might be the post-war tooling from 50 years ago.
I, that's what it looks like. I'm not a huge fan of the rails
Yeah, me too.
on
That's my
these
turnoff.
things. I know that, these Line Sheet Plus 2.0 is, the smaller, um people with smaller layouts, kind of, giving pricing it a little bit more cheaper and more affordable for people. Um, I just, yeah, I just not, when it comes to diesels, there aren't really any diesels that I can't run on my layout that what am I trying to say here? So it, I usually just buy legacy diesels, right? Because there aren't any gigantic legacy diesels that require huge curves, right?
Sure.
There's a few, but for the most part, I would say like 95% of them, will run an 036, 048 without any problem.
Oh yeah.
So I'd rather spend an extra $150 here and just get the legacy version. So, but that's just me.
No, I agree. And I mean, these are beautiful, but those thick handrails really turned me off. And I mean, like if I was to do it, I'd do the Rock Island, but just the thick handrails, it bothers me.
Yep.
And going off your thing on the diesels, I haven't seen any of the diesels neither. I have seen the steamers, but the diesel I was looking forward to, and unfortunately it's canceled. Why, I don't know, but was the FT ABA diesels.
Oh yeah, I remember. That's right. They did. That's right. They did cancel those. That's a shame.
Yeah,
That's a
I was
shame. Those.
looking forward to that.
All right, moving down the page here. We have a Chesapeake and Ohio Lion Chief set. Now, keep in mind this is a Lion Chief set. This is not a Lion Chief Plus 2.0 engine. It is a strictly just a Lion Chief set. So, I don't have any Lion Chief sets, but to be honest with you, I actually would like to pick one up. Just because of people come over to my house. We have kids that come over every now and then. They want to run my train, and I'm a little hesitant to hand them my legacy remote. But I was really thinking about. I'm probably gonna end up getting that Polar Express 15th anniversary version.
Oh,
Um,
that'll be cool.
they're, they're still out there. It was either that one or the Harry Potter one. So was those aren't I think there's a Harry Potter one in this one, but there actually might be a Polar Express too somewhere down here. I don't remember, but yeah, just to go back, I don't have any Line Chief engines, but I would like to get a little set to kind of like just kind of play with, and then like have something for kids to run around the layout and something at Christmas time, right?
Sure.
To have run around. So
Yeah, I have the Promontory Summit Lion Chief set. That set's awesome. It really changed my opinion on them. I really wasn't crazy on them, but I've seen some I really like. They have the not in this caliber, but they have the Long Island Railroad F7 M7 subway set. It's a great set, and I've thought about getting one.
they sound really good too. I'll tell you, these line these Lion Chief sets all have like unique sound sets to that particular set.
Yeah,
Yeah,
heck,
I thought it was like some of these Line Chief sound sets sound better than when like unless you're buying like Vision Line, you're not gonna get sound specific sets or road number specific sets anymore. But these Lion Chief sets all have road name specific roads, railroad specific sounds to them, and they're really really neat.
yeah, and it's really cool. Like I'm still wondering why, besides money, Lionel decided not to do the um, road specific crew talk in their legacy steam and diesels. It really irks me, and I really don't understand why now, with these ready to run starter sets, why they have the road specific crew talk and they only that in the Vision Line. All the standard O stuff doesn't, which I don't understand that.
I imagine it's just a matter of production wise, because if you create I don't think so. Obviously, you have to bring someone in to say. You don't have to say like the road number, right, or the railroad number. So for every single set, I think it's a matter of getting the sound set into that particular engine and making sure you know what I mean? So, excuse me. So what I'm trying to say is like the latest batch of ES44s. Well, you know, you got one sound set for all the ES44s. You don't have to worry about it. But if you make a road specific number and for each ES44, Well, now each one has to have its own custom soundboard with that, with that sound chip, with that sound set in it. And that's probably why, I imagine. But I agree with you 100% though. That is one of the, when I have some older Team CC uh um sets, and I have some older legacy sets that still have the road number specific detail, and it's one of my favorite things. So,
Oh yeah, I've got a bunch of them too, and it's like there was a time that I didn't want any of the new stuff, but now the new stuff is starting to creep up, and it's getting really awesome. And another thing too, going on the older stuff is there's a lot more variety now because before when you had a road specific Kurtok engine, yeah, it was nice, but you only had maybe two road names to choose from and only one road
yep,
number. But now you've got a bunch of names and a bunch of numbers. So yeah, sure, you lose the road specific crew talk, but you got more choices nowadays, which is really cool.
yep. All right, so moving on. I'm just gonna keep going here unless you wanted to talk about things. It's got assorted box cars here. At the 140th anniversary box car for the Canadian Pacific. That's kind of a cool box car.
Yeah, I like the two sides on it. You got the steam era side, and then you got the diesel era side, which is
Yep,
cool.
yep. Is this bottom one gonna be for you? This is GG1,
Oh yeah, that's right up my alley.
the Angela Thomas Pennsylvania. What is that? A bottom? It's called a well stocked shelves box car.
Yeah, bottom shelf. So,
Bottom shelf.
so I guess she must have made the other two, which I haven't found yet. So
I
not
guess
sure if they're
so.
sold out or what, but
Yeah. All right. Next page. We're just gonna. So that's just a personalize your layout. We got, and now we're gonna move into some of these plug and play buildings, with some really kind of cool names.
yeah, yeah, cool. That's one way to put it. They're really pretty cool. MTH, they did the funny names on a lot of their buildings, and it's really cool to see that Lionel's starting to go on it too. So we have the Sofa King. Yes, be careful how you say that.
Yeah.
Mattress and furniture store, which is awesome. We have the Dr. IP Drip and Sons Plumbing Store. We have probably my favorite on this page, which is the Sergeant Stumpy's Red, White, and Boom fireworks. It's going to have
Yeah.
simulated exploding LED
Oh my
fiber
god.
optics for the fireworks, smoke and lights and sound. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, it's expensive, but it's
Yeah.
really going to be cool.
That's cool. I can't wait to see that one. So.
It's cool that the building number is 1776. It's kind of
Oh, I
cool.
didn't notice that. I didn't notice that until now.
And we also have the tattoo parlor down there.
Oh yeah, we got the Big Tats Inc. All right, and then we got the was Dominant Jeans. Okay.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you on that one. But
um. Well, I think the tongue in cheek here is like, you have a dominant gene, like in
yeah, it could be.
DNA, dominant genes. I
It
don't know.
could
Maybe
be.
that's what I'm thinking about it. So,
Yeah.
this road crew up top is
I,
is pretty cool.
I think I'm gonna go in for that. I could make a scene out of that. That would
You
be
could.
cool, wouldn't it?
You could. I like the little scenes with the little guys, and some of them are animated and they got like lights for the torch guy and stuff like that. That's usually pretty. That's a kind of a cool effect there.
Sure. And then for you Beatles fans, which hello, I'm one of them.
Mm.
We have the McCarthy's Wings for Paul McCartney and Wings, and we have
McCartney wings.
a lot of cool stuff. We have Live and Let Fry, and then Try Our
Oh
Chili
boy.
Love Sauce.
Oh my gosh.
It's really
Great,
cool.
great, great tongue in cheek stuff there.
Oh yeah. And
All
then we
right.
have the track lane crew down there. Can't forget that.
Yep. I like that one. That would be one, and I think they have what they have an older one too. I think still they have the track leak one where you could put it like on a siding somewhere, and obviously not connect it, because it actually has no connections. But you can hug it up there so it looks like it's like it's part of the actual side, your siding and stuff like that, and they some of these guys are animated and flickering LEDs and stuff. Pretty cool
Yeah,
stuff.
it's nice stuff. So then quickly on the next page we have the frat house, which you know, you want to relive your college years, or if you're like me, enjoy them. Uh, you got some cool stuff there, and I like the garage. I like the garage kits, as a matter of fact. I'm kind of into kits these days, so I'm probably going for those. It's really cool stuff. I believe that's a model power tooling for the house.
All right, folks. Well, I think that wraps it up for the catalog. We appreciate everyone listening to the Matt and Matt O Scale Trains podcast. More to come. Got some great topics coming up in the future. Matt, where can people find you?
So for me, you can find me on YouTube by searching up Matt Train Lover 9943, and then I'm also on Facebook under the same name. If you go to any one of my recent YouTube videos, you can find the link in the video description, so you can check me out there.
And I can be found on YouTube at West Chicago Railroad. And I am working on a Facebook page as well, and I'll mention that in the next episode of Matt O'Scale Train Podcast. So again, folks, thanks for listening. And please leave feedback for us. Let us know how you like the episode, and we will hopefully see you next time.